Oh no, the stranger sat in poop and you let it happen? But was it dog or bird or, depending on where you are, cow? All of this matters, okay? All of this matters into how much their day was ruined and how badly you let that happen. But also, what did you do to cause that? Ugh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Happy apple picking day! Quick reminders for any of our new friends. If you want to transfer your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/amithebadapple. Just a little reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is we've all lived different lives and lived different experiences. And because we all haven't had the same experiences, we should never make anyone feel they have to apologize for just not experiencing something or not learning something. Because when we do that, it doesn't make them want to learn or grow or anything like that. We give everyone the chance to hear new perspectives and shape their opinions with new context when it arrives, whatever word should go there, that's the one I pick. And we also don't want to make someone feel like they have to apologize for having different boundaries than us, whether they have stricter boundaries or more flexible ones. Like, we're each entitled to our own lines in the sand. So just keep that in mind as we're conversing down in the comments. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for telling my niece her mom didn't want her? I, 28 male, got into a huge argument with my sister, 31 female, last week. This argument had been simmering for a long time, as tensions between us has been high for years. When I was 17, my sister had an accidental pregnancy, and when she told her boyfriend, he left her. Due to our religious family, she ended up keeping the baby, but once her daughter was born, she panicked. She didn't want to go through the legal troubles of adoption, so she asked that me and our mother take care of her child. There was no legal custody arrangements or anything. It was just a verbal agreement made within the family. I essentially raised my niece from birth until she was 3. And with the help of my mother, of course, as she was working to support this new addition to the family, I ended up having to drop out of school to take care of her, feed her, change her, taught her to walk. All of this on my own, essentially, as my mom was at work. Well, then my sister met her now husband and finally cleaned up her life, got everything together, and suddenly wanted her kid back. No warning, just moves back home, says thanks for everything, and starts being a mom like she didn't miss the first 3 years of her child's life. My niece is now 11 and doesn't remember any of that, but her grandmother and I do. It's kind of been a family agreement to just forget all that happened up until this argument. My sister made a petty comment during a fight where she implied that since I lost my job recently, I can't handle responsibility. I snapped and told her that she was lucky her daughter was too young to remember how she abandoned her. Well, my niece overheard that and now wants to know what I meant by that. I outright said that her mother didn't think she could raise her and left her with me and her grandmother. Well, now my sister is saying that I traumatized her daughter, and my mom is saying that I should have kept the secret like we all agreed. I don't think that's fair to keep that a secret forever. Am I the bad apple? I can see some people picking differently than me, but I'm personally going to go bad batch for sure. Like, I'm not even questioning that. And here's the thing. Do I agree with OP in that I don't think it's right to keep that a secret forever? I don't think I'm not saying that, oh yeah, the kid should know that her mom didn't want her at first, but I think saying like, hey, it was a tough situation, and for a couple years in your life, like, your grandmother and uncle really stepped up and helped raise you. Like, I don't think that's a terrible thing to, like, I think it can go either way, because at first I was like, yeah, that's not fair, but now that I'm like thinking about it, what's the point? Like, what would the point of that be? And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, well, to acknowledge and thank the grandmother and the uncle. Okay, but like, is that gonna make the 11-year-old appreciate them more? No, it's gonna make her feel not wanted. So like, I'm actually going against that right now. Like, forever, maybe when she's older and can appreciate it, but I don't think at 11 years old that she would be focused on the appreciating it part. I think she would be focused on the, oh my gosh, my mom didn't want me part, you know? And the way that it all played out, like there's a couple different ways that I could have not gone bad apple for the OP, right? And it's bad batch because I hate everyone here, and I'll get to that later. Do I think in the middle of an argument spouting this out was the right thing to do? No. And I know the heat of the moment and anger, people say things when they're angry. I understand that. Just because I understand that happens doesn't mean I'm gonna say it was the right thing to do. And I even think the way, the way it came out in that moment also says a lot to me, because if you were simply trying to like defend yourself and defend the fact that you took responsibility when your sister couldn't, and if that was the case, I feel like the words would have manifested a little more like, oh, well, it was very responsible of me to take care of a child in need. Well, it was very responsible for me to step up when you needed me. Well, it was just like, if you were defending that comment or defending yourself from that comment that she made about your lack of responsibility, I feel like the defense would have come out a little differently. But instead it came out very offensive, and it didn't even insinuate anything about you in negating the responsibility comment. It was just a neg at her. That's it. Well, you're lucky that your daughter doesn't remember blah 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 blah. Well, that is like an offensive statement. Not someone's gonna say like that's not offensive. I meant like it's not defensive. That is a attacking statement. It is just well, you are trying to hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you. And even though I know things can come out in the heat of the moment, like and I say this in a lot of different videos, whether it's between spouses, family members, parents, siblings, children, whatever, I'm very against like, well, you made me feel bad, so now I want you to feel bad. And again, heat of the moment things happen. That doesn't mean I think it's the right thing to do. Cause like I can say that, oh, this was a bad choice or this was in bad apple and like not hate the person, think that it was just like, it wasn't the right move, but I don't think you're a horrible person. But regardless, you made the statement, it was an attack. You realized the niece heard it. First of all, to be yelling at each other in the presence of a kid like that, not a fan of that in general. To make an oopsie statement like that in front of a kid, really not a fan. But the fact that you made the statement, your niece then asked about it, and you're like, oh, by the way, your mom abandoned you and I took care of you. Like incorporating a child in your argument like that, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm not a fan. Like that, using someone's kid to win an argument like that and creating that kind of devastation and heartbreak just to get ahead in an argument, I hate that. I think that's gross. I think that's gross behavior. Not a fan. And then even if, because I'm sure someone will be like, well, they're probably still in the heat of the argument. There's probably still just, adrenaline running and it just slipped out. Okay, then walk it back and apologize and take accountability for being the one to shatter this kid. And I know someone's gonna be like, what's the mom that, we're not talking about the mom right now. We will in a second, but you're the one that broke this girl's reality. It's a niece. Yeah, I was like, wait, yeah, okay. That's not your place. You're not the guardian. You were for a couple of years, and yeah, you might have been able to call the shots back when she was 1, 2, and 3, but now that she's 11, no, that's not your call. That's not your kid. You don't get to be the one to like dictate those decisions and to still do that just to get at your sister in an argument and well, it's the right thing to do. That was not the right way to do that. Wrong, no. Like there were so many ways that it could have been walked back where I wouldn't be so aggressive about the bad app, but no, this is like gross. And then just because I know people are, what about, okay, the sister, the mom, I don't want to give you up for adoption so that a family that will want to love and support you can take you, but I don't want to be your mom either. Good luck, everybody else. Like making your family just, here's the kid. Goodbye, everyone. Like a minor sibling, like a 17-year-old. Good luck, you're fine. What? Gross. And like, here's the thing. How old was she? What's the age difference? Let's see, if you're 28, she's 31, so that's 3 years. Okay, so if he was 17, she was 20, okay? So it's not even a teen pregnancy. Not that that's any easier, but at least like society-wise, there's like less stigma around it. And I'm just thinking out loud for a moment right here, processing the situation. I can imagine the panic of an unplanned pregnancy so young. Well, I don't know if she went to school, like college, or didn't, I don't know. I don't, whatever she did, that's her business. But I can still understand the panic, because I've seen my own friends have surprise pregnancies in their 20s, not married or anything, still trying to finish school, figure out career, things like that. And it's stressful, and you know, anyone would panic, anyone would be, oh my God, like I don't even know what I want to have for breakfast tomorrow. Now I gotta plan for a child. And if you decide to have that kid, that's your choice. And if you decide not to give it up for adoption, that's your choice. But then to make those decisions and then to just still skedaddle and not give this kid a chance to find a stable home, like that's wrong, personally. And I can commend someone for going through a rough time and then getting their life together and being like, okay, I'm ready to step up now. Like even though I hated the earlier on choices, I commend I made some wrong choices and I made a little bit of a messy situation, but I'm here to clean it up and take accountability and be the mom that I need to be. And I admire that. Like, I don't know how I feel about okay, but we can never speak about this again. And I feel like I don't know what appreciation was shown to the mother and the brother for doing this. But I feel like giving someone crap about, well, you lost your job, you have no responsibility, when they stepped up as a 17-year-old when you couldn't, that feels wrong. That feels like a wrong outlook to have on someone who raised your child for you, personally. Like, I don't like that. I want to know what this sister did to make up for the fact, like, that her brother dropped out of school, possibly hurting whatever career path he wanted for himself, most likely doing that, and what she did to help get him back on track with his life, you know? And I'm not seeing anywhere where that's mentioned, so I don't know if it just didn't happen or if they just didn't mention it because they're mad, I don't know. But if she didn't do anything, like, that to me is also very gross. And while I think she's right in being pissed at her brother for dropping this news on her kid, because no matter what, no matter if the daughter deserved to know or not, that wasn't the way to do it. That was the very wrong way to do it. And now she has like a devastated child who trust is probably broken. Like, they're gonna have to repair that relationship, and the brother did not make the right choice with revealing it like that. She should be pissed. I still don't love the choices that she's made, and I don't like how she's handling her brother, like, struggling with job stuff. But I absolutely think she has every right to be pissed off at him. And then their mom, even worse. Like, who lets a child drop out of school to deal with their other kid's baby? Who lets their other kid also derail their life? Like, what is happening? None of this makes sense to me. And like, I commend the grandmother, the mom of the siblings. I commend her for, like, yeah, I will take care of this kid. But she financially took care of the kid, but she passed it off to her minor child. That's not okay. That's unacceptable. Like, agreeing to help out a single mother with an unplanned pregnancy does not negate the fact that you offered to take that or accepted to take that responsibility and then put it on someone, not only someone else, but like another child. Not a fan of that. That's why I'm just bad batch. I don't love anything in this. That poor girl. I feel like I rambled a lot for that one, so we're gonna move on because I feel like I rambled a lot. I'm so sorry. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for cutting off my friends and exposing their political views? So I'm a closeted individual and I'm also a freshman. I'm very political and I love to make conversations about it. I like to see things from both sides of the aisle. But one day I heard one of my friends at the time speaking about how they found people in the LGBTQ community unnatural, and they didn't know I was a part of it, but I didn't like it. At that point, I finally had enough. I was sick and tired of seeing my friends wave around their Confederate flags and say things about the LGBTQIA+ community. I messaged them a long paragraph about how their hatred affects other people. They just continue to tell me that it's not personal, it's just politics. At that rate, I was so fed up. I just started blasting them on Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, posting all their chats, them saying so many hateful things about women. Heck, I even posted it, and I tagged their mothers and their grandmothers. People are saying that I overreacted, but I don't think so. I mean, we live in a deep red state in Louisiana. Some people have even threatened me for doing this and speaking out like this. So, am I the bad apple? I think people are gonna have a lot of different opinions on this one. And I know that a lot of people are not gonna like what I have to say, but I don't like the posting the screenshots and like tagging their family. I don't like that personally. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I don't agree with protecting people's bad behavior. So like, I'm not like, oh, well, you have to keep it a secret. You have to keep everything that you heard on the down low. You don't want anyone to think bad of them. That's not what I'm saying at all. Like, I'm trying to think of how to properly put this into words. Because like I just said, I'm not for protecting people's bad behavior. And there's a difference between, oh, we just have different political opinions, and like, oh yeah, they're like waving around the Confederate flag. Like that's just offensive. I'll never understand people who think it's like very American to wave around what is essentially another country's flag. Cause like that, well, I'm not even gonna get into that. Not even gonna get into that. But just logically, that has never made sense to me. Like it's actually quite literally the most anti-American thing you can do is to wave around the flag of like, I don't want to be in this country anymore. But again, we're not talking about it anymore. I'm not gonna get into that. In reality, when you are with your best friends, there's a filter that kind of, that it comes off, right? Like if you're with your best friend, and we all do this, whether it goes too, like while some people go too far, like you and your best friend trash talk. You just do. There's a reason, there was a trend on social media a while ago that was like $1 million for me to go through the text between you and your sister, or you and your best friend, or blah, blah, blah. And they're like, nope. And taking those messages that are sent in that mindset of that friendship and trust and posting them online for anybody, like I don't agree with that. And here's the thing, when you realize that people have world opinions that clash with your morals, because I know there are, at some point, like there's a fine line, well, I guess the more phrase would be like the line has blurred in modern days of politics and morals and values, right? It's not just politics anymore, it's both. And I think it's incredibly valid to say, oh, I'm hearing that your morals and values don't align with me, and I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with this space. I don't want to be here. That's fine. That's valid. But for a while, you chose to be there. You were there voluntarily, right? I didn't see anything. I heard that you say, well, I like to look at things from both sides. I didn't hear anything about you speaking out against anything that they were saying. I didn't hear anything about you contradicting anything that you were saying. You said that you love talking about politics. You love both sides. Why didn't you question or stand up to anything that they were saying? And it's fine that you didn't. If you didn't feel comfortable, that's fine. You don't have to. But you were complicit in sitting here and watching and reading and technically being a part of these conversations. So then to post it like, oh my God, look at what I caught these people do. That feels very hypocritical. Oh my gosh, look at what they say when no one's looking. I'm not saying that the misogyny and the racism that you're describing in these chats is okay or acceptable in any way, shape, or form. But when you are, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're like silently enabling, and like you got, like if you're not questioning, if you're not standing up, if you're not contradicting whatever, like you are enabling these conversations and these talks and these chats. And when you are silently enabling this behavior for so long, I don't think you get to turn around and screenshot it and like make them think, like I'm not saying, I don't want to say make them think it's okay to say this thing, because it's not okay to say or think horrible things about women, right? Or homophobia or like any of those things. It's all not okay. But I also think it's not okay to sit there and act and pretend like you're okay with it all and just sit there and like let it all happen, and then later on down the line be like, oh my gosh, look at how crazy, look at all these things. Well, what do you mean? You were there for those things. You let those things happen. You let them say those things. You didn't question anything. You didn't stand up for anything. Like, to me, that's just as bad. Maybe not just as bad, but you know, like you're letting it happen. And to villainize them, which they are bad guys too, like to villainize them and be like, oh my God, and I just sit there and let it happen, I didn't say anything, it's fine. But like, no, you were a part of it. Like for example, as a teacher, if there's a child who comes to school with bruises or like signs of obvious physical abuse signs, like, you know what I mean? And the teacher doesn't report it, and it's later found that the parents are physically abusing their child and they get charged, the teacher also gets charged. For those that don't know that, because they saw it was happening and they just let it happen. That's what mandated reporters are. Teachers, nurses, they're mandated reporters. That's why they have to. All y'all that always gets an attitude when it's like teachers just report and mess up families for the fun of it. No, because if they see something and they're worried and they don't say anything, they can go to jail. So like that's how I view this, is like when you see behavior like racism, homophobia, misogyny, things like that, and you just kind of let it happen, like I see it as you're just as complicit. You allowed that behavior, and then later on, once you finally had enough, to go and weaponize everything that you allowed to happen. Like I just don't agree with that personally. And I don't want it to come off at all that I'm defending anything that these guys were saying that was clearly just offensive, but I'm saying I don't agree with how it was handled. Like I definitely think cut them off. Don't surround yourself with those kinds of people. But what you did felt very extra in a space where, like, I don't know, it just feels like an internal line was crossed for me. Like, I don't know how to put it into words. I don't even know if what I'm saying is making sense. Like, I've met a lot of social media people that people love on the internet, and I've got a lot of very interesting conversations that I will never post because you don't do that. There's a lot of stories that I have of social media creators that people love, and it's like, let me rephrase this. It's not about it being a secret, right? When I talk to people in person or like my friends or family, like I share whatever, you know? People in my life know exactly the kinds of creators that I avoid or that I love, or, you know, situations. But it's not, there's a reason that when you go to creator spaces, it's like an unspoken agreement. We're not just sitting there recording each other. This is a private space. And not to say that it's like, oh yeah, code for you can do or say whatever offensive things and do whatever and you won't get caught. That's not the point. It's when you're in a private space, there's this level of trust and confidentiality. Again, it's not a free pass or ticket to just be a horrible person. I value that space very much. I don't even know if what I'm saying is making sense. I feel like I sound like a psychopath. I'm very concerned this is coming off as like protecting people with misogynistic or homophobic or racist views, and it's not. I don't mean it like that at all. When me and my best friends have little bits in our conversations about, I just watched the serial killer documentary, I learned XYZ for when I need it, like, I don't mean that. But if someone were to then post it and be like, oh my God, this girl is planning on killing men, like, I wouldn't like that. And I know it's very different because I don't mean it, and I'm not saying, oh, well, they might not mean it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you are in a space where you're just talking with your best friends in general, like no context about what, I don't want to, like, in general, no context about what it's about, I take that space very seriously. Like I remember years ago, I was with a bunch of content creators, and I remember my ex made a joke about happy wife, happy life. Like, it wasn't even a big deal. At least I didn't find it like offensive or anything like that. And another creator mentioned it in content, and they didn't even say anything like bad about it or anything, and they didn't mean anything bad about it, but I just remember feeling so betrayed in that moment. And like now I don't care. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I felt very betrayed that something like in the circle of close friends that wasn't even a crazy thing. It was like I guess I'm like trying to like not throw anyone under the bus, but we were at VidCon, and we were there for like, obviously for me to do work, and my ex was like, oh, like making a joke. I don't think he meant, I think it was just supposed to be a joke, but it was like, oh, can I miss these things that you need help with and like go play basketball? And I was like, no. And he was really only asking me like for the bit of like, oh, I can't do anything, happy wife, happy life. Like, he wasn't seriously asking to miss stuff. It was just supposed to be a joke to like rile me up and stress me out. But someone who I love, like I'm very close with this person still. I love them very much. But they like made a comment about it in a video, and it wasn't even a big deal. It was like oh, I heard this joke in passing, and it got me thinking about a concept of relationships. And I just remember feeling so betrayed just that, and like we talked about, everything's fine. I love this person. But the point is, I don't want it to come off that I'm trying to defend horrible behavior. I just find that close space, like I hold that very sacred to me personally. And so I don't agree with well, I enabled this for so long and now I'm gonna expose it and act like I just found out. Well, like, you're just as complicit, in my opinion. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I hope. I always get very concerned because I feel like sometimes people purposefully misunderstand me and my intentions, and this is a topic that I really don't want to be misunderstood on, and I'm sweating a lot, and now I'm regretting even taking this Apple submission, but it's fine. I hope to God no one misunderstands what I'm trying to say. I'm sweating already, oh my God. I thought I rambled on the first one. I'm really rambling on this one. If you just called them out on everything they'd been saying in parted ways, I would go good apple, 100%. If you, in the heat of the moment, got angry and posted a couple things and then took them down, I could maybe argue crab apple. But to go through and post everything on every platform and tag their mothers, I just think that's a little much. I'm not a fan of that. I also think it would be very different if, like, you found out they had these views and then you acted. I still wouldn't agree with the posting it, but I could at least go crab apple, maybe. I don't like you were friends with these guys for a while, it went on, and then now I'm doing everyone a favor, I'm warning everybody. Because I know there's gonna be people in the comments that are like, well, I know there are some people that are like totally for the public shaming, and that's fine. You can be for the public shaming. That's how you do things. Remember when I talked about we all have different boundary levels? If something were to happen to me, like if someone, I've talked a couple times about what happened to me with the old podcast stuff. I've talked about stories that involve me, and I think that is much different than going on like a whole rampage of just attacking their character. That to me, that's different. To me, how we talked about we all have different boundary lines. That's my boundary line personally. That's what I'm not a fan of. So if you got online and you talked about how you tried to talk to them about their homophobic comments and this is how they responded to you, I would have a completely different whatever. And if you were like, oh, I tried to talk to them about their homophobia and this is how they reacted, and it bothered me, and it also bothered me that they said these things about women and these things about racism, that to me would be different. But to just, oh my gosh, look at these racists, like that to me feels different when you were so complicit about it for so long. And also if you were just, oh, I cut ties and I told people like in my circle and I verbally had conversations about how these people hurt me, also different. That's just my line. Like talking about your experiences and talking to your inner circle about things that you experienced is different than just to me, it doesn't have to be different for you, that's just my own boundary, to me is different than just taking everything that you just silently were complicit with for a while and just posting it all online and being like, oh my God, look at these homophobes and racists. And I'm not saying that you have to out yourself online publicly for it to matter, but I'm saying that like, it just gives off a very different vibe, and like for me that's just my personal boundary. And does any of that make sense? Okay, I'm really gonna move on now because I'm just stressing myself out. I'm just so scared I'm gonna be misunderstood about this. I'm so nervous. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for not wanting my sister-in-law at my son's birthday? My sister-in-law is a soldier currently on tour. Days before she left, she suddenly wanted to see us as previous plans fell through. She lives about 4.5 hours from us, so we typically only see her a few times a year. When trying to find a time that worked for everyone, she tried to invite herself and my nephew along to my son's birthday. We were doing a day trip to a children's museum, just us, my husband and kids and me. It's not like there were other friends or family there. She can be difficult to deal with, and her son can be a lot too, so we politely declined. We said that we can get together when she's back. She lost it on the phone with my partner, and she said that she's not talking to him anymore. She's done this before. It usually only lasts until she needs something from the person she's not talking to. Other family members have made comments at events she was unable to attend that there's been so much less drama without her. Didn't I kind of do them all a favor then? The birthday was really nice, and I know it would have been significantly more stressful with her there, so am I the bad apple? I was prepared to go good apple, and it's like one of those good apples where it's like, I don't agree with what you did, but I don't think that you're wrong for doing it. It's like you're allowed to have whatever boundary that you want with people, whether it's your partner or your kids or your family members, like your boundaries, your boundaries, your friends, whoever. Right? And if you are setting this bound, like you want this birthday to just be with you and your immediate family, that's your choice. Would I have chosen that? No. Because this is someone who's going on deployment. First of all, that's dangerous. I would be very concerned about my family member going on deployment. And that's for a long time. This isn't just like, oh, this weekend's not gonna work out with me, let's do next weekend. Like this is, oh, this weekend's not gonna work out with me, we'll try again in a year. Like that's very casual, just be like, I don't really care about seeing you that much. And I know you're going to a place that can be very dangerous, but I'm not worried about it. Like that's what vibe that gives off to me. So I think it's valid that the sister is probably very upset on the phone. Especially, I don't know where she's being deployed to. Some places are definitely safer than others. We don't know where it is, so we're not gonna make any assumptions about it. But I would be very upset if I was about to be gone for months at a time, because at a minimum, deployment's gonna be months at a time, right? And my family members just didn't care to make time to see me. You know? And if it were me, like I'd be like, oh, we're gonna go to the museum. I personally would be like, you know what? We'll do the museum next weekend instead. And we'll see you before you go on deployment, before you go. Like to me, that's what I would do. Now, she doesn't have to do that. She can do whatever I don't even know, it doesn't say man or woman, doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want, right? Their boundaries. Their weekend. If it's not that important to them to keep that relation, I always say you can have whatever relationships you want with people. You can make those decisions. If you're not concerned about having a relationship with that person, that's fine. But you can't basically reveal to them you're not that concerned about your relationship with them and then be surprised when they're upset about it. Right? But then also what I felt was so unnecessary, like what kind of pushed me over into crabapple was one of the last comments that's like, oh my gosh, and she hasn't been able to be at events and family said it's so much nicer without her. What did that have to do with anything? Like, I know that the point you were trying to make is, well, everyone thinks she's a lot to deal with. I don't know what you mean by that. You said, oh, well, she's a lot to deal with. Oh, well, she can be drama. I don't know what specifics you mean by that because you didn't offer details, but as someone who, I'm trying to think, I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, as someone who would call out bad behavior in a family that I don't see much anymore, I was seen as a problem and drama because I didn't like things that I heard people saying and offensive things that people would say. And I was seen as a problem. And a lot of drama. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, they're probably saying a lot of those things about me right now that I'm no longer at family events. Oh, so much nicer, so much less drama, so many less problems. Yeah, because now you can say the things that you would say in your group chat and not get called out for it. That was a joke about story number 2. But so that comment didn't do for me what you thought it was going to do. Like, I feel like you added that comment because you thought it would tell me, oh, well, people don't like her and she's an issue and she's a problem. But that didn't do that for me because I don't know if she's actually a problem and she's actually an egotistical, I need the center of the attention all the time kind of person, or if she's just someone that calls people out on their bad behavior. To me, that comment says way more about you than it does your sister-in-law, which is what makes me want to push off into crabapple instead of good apple. Because I was gonna, again, like, your choices are your choices, but that comment hit me the wrong way. And like, imagine talking about a soldier who's deploying and being like, well, we didn't want to make time to see her before she deployed, and so she doesn't want to see us, but she might need something. I'm sorry, what? Does the deployed soldier need you to water their plant? Like, again, you're not giving specifics, and it's not, if you kept things vague and kept out that last line of, oh, well, everyone says it's much nicer without her, I would just go I would just go good apple, right? It's all vague, I don't have examples, and you're not worried about this relationship with your sister-in-law, and that's your right. And even though I don't agree with it, it's still your right. You didn't do anything inherently wrong. But when you don't give the examples and you put in a little jab at the end like you did, it makes my mind wander. You know, and we always say we don't make assumptions, but the vibes that I get from it are the vibes that I get from it, you know? And the vibes that I'm getting aren't great. A deployed soldier may or may not have PTSD. I'm sorry. Does them needing help offend you when they need support? Does watering their plants while they're gone, is that something that's like, oh, well, she just needs something from us? Well, you know, she's risking her life to go protect the right that you have to not want to see her. You know, someone who is going to fight for our country is entitled to be a little extra when they need to be. And I'm not saying that just because someone is a soldier means that they can act toxically, but you haven't really given me anything other than, well, she's a lot. She's a lot to handle. Well, that's the same. Some people might hear that and be put off by it, but I hear that, and those are the same words that people would describe me when I speak my mind or have a strong opinion or call them out on bad behavior or, you know, have a lot of energy. So I'm gonna go crabapple because I'm getting bad vibes. Now, someone could probably talk me down back over to good apple, but I just have a bad feeling about this personally. Again, it's not crabapple because those are your boundaries and you didn't want to see her. That's your right. Do I think it's a questionable decision? Yeah, but it's still your right. But to add that with the other comments, I just get a bad feeling that makes me want to go crabapple personally, and that's my right. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for letting a stranger sit in poop? I, 26 male, was at a crowded park recently where there were food trucks set up and people sitting around eating. Seating was pretty limited and most people were sitting on this low concrete wall that runs along the edge of a parking lot. On the other side of a wall was this grassy area that's level with the top of the wall, so people sit with their backs towards the grass and legs facing the lot. I just got my food when I noticed one free spot left. At the same time, I saw a girl, very well dressed for the park, also walking towards the one spot left. She definitely saw it before me and headed that way, but I was closer and I got there before her, despite her running when she saw me approach it. As I got to it, I looked down at the grass behind the wall and saw a big pile of dog poop right where someone's lower back or clothes would land if they leaned back or sat back. It was really gross, so I decided that must be why it's free. I'm not gonna sit there. Right then, she walked up, looked annoyed at me, and said, seriously? You know I saw the spot first. You saw me walking towards it. Are you really gonna take it from me? I didn't want to make a thing of it, so I just stepped aside and said, go ahead. You can have it. It's all yours. She immediately sat down without checking behind her, and just a second later, jumped up with a disgusted look on her face. The dog poop was stuck to the back of her shirt. She turned around at me and snapped. Oh my gosh! That's disgusting! Why didn't you say anything? Did you know it was there? I told her, yeah, I saw it, but I didn't know how you were planning to sit. I mean, for all I knew, you were just gonna perch on the edge or something like that. It's a park. People walk their dogs here, so you should probably check before sitting down anywhere. She kept insisting that I should have warned her, but I told her I wasn't trying to be petty. I genuinely didn't know how far back she was gonna lean down. It wasn't really my responsibility to check the ground for her anyways. She could have only sat on the wall and not on the grass, and it would have been fine. She eventually walked up frustrated, but now I'm wondering if I should have just said something. I mean, I feel like since she was so confrontational about the spot, it wasn't really necessary, so. Was I the bad apple? Oh, honey, you the bad apple. Okay, so I'm gonna use your words that you used. You recognized that she saw the spot first, right? Like, it's very normal that when you're in a parking lot and you're going for a parking spot and you're sitting there and you find a spot, but you have to wait for the other car to get out, right? And if they're getting out a certain way, you have to wait for them to leave. And if a car comes in and steals that, like, people get mad because you were there first. It's like common courtesy. And is it legal to snag the spot from someone else? Yeah. But it's just a rude thing to do, you know? And I think this is similar. Like, you recognized there was one spot left and she saw it first and you're like, you know what? I bet I can steal it from her. Like, that's just rude. Can you do it? Yeah, it still like is a jerk move, but that's not what makes you the bad apple. Like, I would have gone crab apple for that. You get there first because you, as you say, she saw it first, but you were closer. And I know that some people are gonna say like, oh, well, it's like in the parking lot, if someone's right there versus on the other side, it's not a jerk move. And I'm gonna tell you why that's different really quickly. When you see a spot first and you're a row over and someone is closer and sees it first, the cars don't see each other and don't see, oh yeah, I have to get there before that one car. You don't notice that. But when you notice that someone else sees the spot before you, the kind thing to do is to get a different spot. When you see a person found that spot first, the kind thing to do is they saw the spot first. And again, I wouldn't go bad apple just because he wanted to take the spot. I'd go crab apple because, like, yeah, you can do that. I just don't think it's right. But you got there first. You saw that there was dog poop. You saw there was dog poop on the thing. She gets there and calls you out for, hey, you know I saw this first. That was rude. That is also her right. Just like I wouldn't try to steal someone's spot if I saw that they saw it first, because I think that's rude, but you can do whatever. I wouldn't sit there and berate someone for acting rudely, but she can still do it. Just like you were rude for taking the spot, she can call you out for being rude. I wouldn't do either of those things, but that's their right to do it. You had already made the decision, I don't want this spot because there's dog poop. But you played it off as if you were like, oh yeah, you know what? You're right. Go ahead and sit. That's where you lost me for the crab apple. You played it off as if you were just trying to be nice. You weren't. You already made the decision you didn't want to sit there. You didn't say, oh, actually, I'm not sitting here because there's dog poop. You played it off. You were mad that you got called out for being rude, and so you played it off like you were trying to be the good guy. And here's the thing, that's like the one part of what got me away from crab apple. The second part that got me away from crab apple is she sat down, she got poop on her back, and she asked you, did you know it was there? And you could have said no. You didn't. You said yes to make sure she knew that you let that happen. That you let that happen to her and that you knew it was going to happen to her. Like, you said yes to stick it to her. Well, I wasn't trying to be petty. Well, you were petty, like trying to get to the seat before her when you knew that she saw it first. And purposefully playing it off as, oh no, you're right, go ahead. That's also petty. Well, it's not my responsibility to double check, but it's like the common courtesy thing. It's like a basic test of human empathy to just, oh, I'm actually not gonna sit here because I don't want dog poop on me. Like that, I know there's gonna be people in the comment section that are like, well, he doesn't have to say that. No, he doesn't have to, but it's like a common courtesy. And sorry, that's one of my boundary lines. I think it's really messed up to, like, she didn't check and sit behind her because she was flustered, because she was just rushing to try and get there to have a place to sit down. 100%. That's why she didn't look before she sat. Not a fan. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood today. I don't know. Today, but I'm not dealing with all the stuff today. I'm not dealing with people's crap today, apparently. Maybe it's because I didn't really sleep. My patience is like not great today. I feel kind of mean today, but it is what it is. That's, again, I just get the stories randomly, so that's what we got. And again, do I think that some people are not going to really care that he just let the stranger sit there? But like, for you to make all of these observations, you noticed that she was dressed nicely. You played it off like there was nothing. Oh, go ahead, sit right on down. Like, sometimes y'all tell on yourselves. It would be different, like, if you didn't say anything about her clothes, you didn't, like, make sure she knew that you knew the poop was there. Like, it would be different. Sometimes y'all tell on yourselves. When you retell a story, the details that you add, they matter, and they create a lot of context. And that's why I'm going bad apple. It's just like the last one, and everyone says that it's been so great when she's not around. You mean when she's like risking her life? It's so great. Like, the comments you guys make, it tells a lot. It provides a lot of context. So that's why I'm going bad apple. Oh my God, we don't have any good, I don't know the last time we haven't had any good apples, but we got a crab apple, a bad batch, and 2 bad apples. At least that's what I got. Maybe I'm just having a day. Am I being like too sensitive today? I'm so nervous about this episode. That's at least what I got. I would love to hear all your thoughts down in the comment section. Maybe I need to go take a nap. I'm so self-conscious now. As always, if you want to transfer your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. And for your well wishes today, It is National Hammock Day and National Mango Day. I don't have a hammock. I thought about getting one. I thought it would be really nice for outside, but I don't have big trees yet. All my trees are little baby trees. So maybe one day I'll have a hammock, but I can't celebrate that today. I can celebrate National Mango Day. About to go to the pool with some friends. Maybe we'll get some little mango refresher drinks for the sun. Ooh, that sounds good. That's what I'll be celebrating today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.